Hello, and welcome to the RNEA podcast. This is a place where we explore valuable insights into the nuclear world, education, and opportunities. I am Godwin, and I'll be your host for today's episode. Before we go right into the podcast for today, I would like to give a special shout out to the Ross Atom Organization. Ross Atom is an organization dedicated to advancing the frontiers of nuclear engineering, both within and beyond the borders. And without them, certainly this platform wouldn't exist. Now, to our first time listeners, I want to give a warm welcome to you for starting this amazing journey from everyone here at RNEA and to our esteemed returnees. As the saying goes, you guys are the real MVPs. Your presence is highly and highly appreciated. And now, moving on to the topic for today, we have a very, very spicy and juicy topic for those that are intentional about their future and intentional about their career. Today's topic is titled Grants and Scholarship in Russia. Yeah, for those of us who have been following this podcast, you likely developed a passion for nuclear engineering and its related fields. And sometimes the only obstacle stopping you from pursuing your dream might just be financial problem, right? So I want to tell you that this episode is prepared just for you. So whether you're a student, whether you're a researcher, or whether you're someone eyeing higher education in Russia, this episode is tailored just for you. So we'll jump right in. Yeah, so for this podcast, we've divided the podcast into different segments. So the first segment we'll be looking at today is just the overview of grants and scholarship in Russia. Right. So to kick things off, let's delve into the landscape of grants and scholarship in Russia. Russia is a country that boasts of a very rich tradition of supporting international students through various programs. And this is not just something out of the blues. This is something I am a beneficiary of two scholarship in Russia. Right, these opportunities they extend way beyond just nuclear engineering and related fields. You can have a scholarship in sciences, in technology, in arts, in humanities, and even in medical sciences, right? So, annually, the Russian government, driven by its commitment to advancing global science and technology, they allocate substantial numbers of scholarship to scholars worldwide, right? So, whether you're from Asia, you're from Africa, you're from Europe, you're from America, or anywhere in the world, you think you need a scholarship, you need help in getting higher education, just know that Russia is the right place for you. And I don't just want to talk and talk, I like to give statistics, right? So if we let's look at some statistics. Russia boasts of two two main scholarship, right? The first one is called the Open Door Scholarship, right? The Open Door Scholarship, if we look at the statistics from the year of its conception, from 2017, they've been able to award 40,000 scholarships to students globally, right? And the second scholarship, the most prestigious of them, is called the Russian Government Scholarship. And for the past 5 years, Russia has been awarding a slot of 18,000 scholarships to different students from different countries. So you can see that the numbers is speaking volume of Russia's commitment into helping foreign students and international students get education for free. Right. Like I mentioned, there are two main scholarships here in Russia you can get depending on the level you're going for. So the first one we'll be looking at is the Russian government scholarship, right? So I'll be talking about the benefits and how you can apply, and yeah, we'll move from there. So the first scholarship is the Russian government scholarship, right? It spans across different educational level from bachelor's to if you're going for a specialty program, if you're going for your master's, if you're going for your PhD, you can apply for this scholarship program. right? And the benefit is something I think most of us will appreciate. So as usual, the first benefit you get is that if you are awarded a scholarship, your tuition fee for all of your studies, right? So if you're going for bachelor's, so for the 4 years of your bachelor's program, you won't be paying a dime, right? Your tuition free is going to be free, and then they will be giving you a maintenance allowance, right? So every month you get a maintenance allowance, right, to help you with some of your needs and some of the financial problems you might be having. So you'll be getting that every month. And it's not dependent on your grades, right? Some scholarship they'll award you some scholarship, and then if you don't perform well, they can stop the payment of your stipend, right? But for this scholarship, it's not the case, right? And then you have dormitory accommodation if available in the university of your choosing, right? And things you also need to notice that this scholarship does not cover your transportation and your travel costs. So, if you're, let's say, for example, you are in Zambia, for example, you're a student in Zambia, if you are awarded the scholarship, the Russian government won't be in charge of buying your ticket from Zambia down to Russia, right? You have to cover that yourself. So, the scholarship does not cover the living expenses. So, your day-to-day life activity, your feeding, your transportation, the scholarship is not built to cover that. You have to cover that yourself. And then lastly, there's a voluntary health insurance policy you need to get, right? So for every student, you need to have a health insurance policy, right? So the scholarship also does not cover that, but I think it's relatively cheap, right? You can search online for the standard of living and how much it will cost you to survive in Russia if you are to sponsor yourself, right? It's relatively cheap if you're comparing it with other European countries, right? So that is that. And now down to how to apply, right? And your application is largely dependent on the country of origin, right? So depending on your country of origin, the requirements might be different ever so slightly. So it's advisable generally for you to contact the Russian embassy in your country for accurate directives. So this directive I'll be giving here today will be the general instruction, right? But a if you want an instruction tailored just for you, right, you have to contact the Russian embassy in your country, and you get the information tailored for citizens of your own country. Right. So having done that, the next thing you should do is to log on to the official website. The website is called educationinrussia.com. Okay. I go again, educationinrussia.com. Right. So you need to register and provide your personal details like always. So like your name, your date of birth, your country of residence, your email, your contact telephone number, and other information that they might require you to provide. So you provide that, and then you'll be required in the next step, right after providing your details, to provide your profession, your specialization. What are you applying for? What program do you want to study when you come to Russia? So you have to choose that, and then your level of education. So if you want to study, for example, if you want to come for your master's degree, that means you must have finished your bachelor's degree, right? So you have to fill that in. Okay, I graduated from this university in this country. I graduated with this grade. This is my transcript. This is my certificate. So you have to provide all those details, right? And then you have to provide your level of Russian language, right? Later on, I will explain why you need to provide this. So you have to provide your level of Russian language. And then after filling in your level of Russian language, if you're at A2, A1, or zero level, it's actually okay. Just fill in your level of Russian language, right? And after that, you'll be asked to choose six universities, right? Six universities. And the reason why you're asked to choose the six universities is if you are successfully picked for the scholarship, one out of the six universities that you've chosen will be granted to you, right? So you are the one actually choosing the university you want to study. So you pick the university in the order of your preference. So the first university you pick will be considered the most important to you when they're picking the universities for you, right? So it goes in that order, right? So you can choose up to six universities where you'd like to study, and Also, it's quite it's quite explanatory, if I would say, that you're going to be studying outside the country, possibly, right? Possibly studying outside the country. You need to have your passport, right? Your international passport. So you need to provide a scanned copy of your international passport, and it must be valid for at least 18 months. So from the time of application, you must have at least 18 months on the passport, right? So let's say if you're applying for 2024, right, your passport should expire by 2026, right? Right. So it shouldn't be below 2026. You can't apply for a scholarship by, let's say, by 2024, and then your passport is expiring 2025. That is not going to be accepted. So if you're applying for 2024, the earliest your passport should expire is 2026, right? And also you can alternatively provide your birth certificate and also your document of your educational level, which I already spoke about. So your certificate or your transcript will suffice. And then after providing all that, the next thing, I personally call it the waiting game, right? This is a test of your patience. So they will test your patience really well because I mean they have thousands and if not millions of application, and they need to screen every applicant. So that's going to be time consuming, right? So you have to wait, and then you're waiting for an invitation actually, right, to participate in the second round. The second round of the scholarship is when you take a test, kind of like an interview or a test or an examination to actually test your knowledge, right? They can't just award scholarship to students who they've not tested to be academically sound, right? So you'll be given a date. Probably they will release a list of students that qualified and then the date, or they will send it to your email address, right? So you provide your email address and then they will forward your information to you. So if you pass the first round, you'll get the email address. If you don't pass this first round, probably you won't get, or you might get a like an email telling you that okay, unfortunately, you were not selected for the second round, right? So and if you get the email address that you were not selected for the second round, I mean that shouldn't kill your joy. You can always work on yourself and apply for the next academic session, right? So you get the email address for those who passed to the second round, and then you get a date. So you get a date to write your test or come for an interview, and after that, so after that you're like, if after the test or the interview, you're about 60% done with the scholarship process, and then the next phase, once you get that, once you pass the test in the interview, the next phase is for you to prepare for your trip, right? You need to prepare for your trip, and customary to Russian's tradition, you have to get a doctor's certificate, like a medical certificate. Go to a recognized clinic in your country, go and get largely HIV, tuberculosis, but all this information will be sent to you, right? They will ask you to provide certain test results, yeah. So but usually you have to provide HIV, tuberculosis, right? So and also the certificate you provided, like your transcript, your graduation certificate, you need to, there's something we call notarization and translation, right? So you go to a recognized translation office, right? They will help you translate your documents from your native language to Russian language. So if you're from an English speaking country, they will translate it from English to Russian. If you're from a French speaking country, from French to Russian. If you're from a Spanish speaking country, from Spanish to Russian. Arabic speaking country, from Arabic to Russian. So there'll be a translation of all your documents, right? And then there'll be a notarization of it, right? So if you translate it without notarizing it, it's not going to be considered valid, right? So after translation, you have to notarize it. And all this information, usually after the translation, the notarization, and everything, your document will be forwarded to the central office in Moscow, right? And upon receiving your document, you'll be given a a track number, like an ID, right? For example, five for students from Nigeria, right? Our country code is NGN, right? So you get NGN, then I think three or four numbers behind it, right? And then you be forwarded a link. So you click on the link and then you copy your track number and paste it there, and then you can follow up on the progress of your application, right? So that is how you communicate with the school. That is how you communicate with the central office, right, through the track number. So upon um getting your track number, then you have one more step to conclude before coming to Russia. So the last and final step is for you to wait to be enrolled into the university of your choosing. Like I said earlier, the choosing of the six university, you should choose them according to your preference, right? So the first university is the one you like the most. The second should be lower than the first, right? So in order of your preference, right? So you'll be contacted by the university's admission office, and they will guide you through the journey. Okay, you need to do this, and once you get the contact of the university admission office, then your scholarship is secured already, right? So they will guide you. Okay, do this, go to this place, you need to provide this document, you need to do this. So you and the university will be in contact, right? And so they will even guide you through your arrival into Russian Federation. So you, when you get your ticket to come to Russia, you have to send them your ticket, right? And they will say the date and the time, and usually they will send a representative from the university to wait for you at the airport to pick you up and to bring you to the university where you complete your registration, right? So like I said when I started, I said you need to provide the Russian language level. Okay, so the Russian education in Russia scholarship, right? The Russian government scholarship, it's a scholarship where you have to, right? You have to study in Russian language, right? You have to study in Russian language, and so that's why you need to provide your level of knowledge of Russian language. So, for example, if you're a B2 speaker or a C1 speaker, you don't need to study the language itself. But if you don't know the language, you'll be compelled to go through a 1 year language training course, right? So the first year of your studies will be for Russian language, right? So you won't be enrolled into the university, you'll be directed to the preparatory faculty, right, where you'll be taught the language. And because you'll be studying in the language, you can't study in a language you don't understand, right? All your lectures will be in the language, your practicals will be in the language, your lab works will be in the language. So you need to understand the language. And quite frankly, the language is not that difficult to understand, right? Provided you have the passion, provided you have the zeal, the motivation to study it, it is not difficult at all, right? So you'll be compelled to go through a 1 year compulsory language course, where you'll be taught the language. Okay. So, and if you complete that, then the next academic session you'll be enrolled into the university, right? So you, if you are going for bachelor's, so the first year will be for your language course, and then you have 4 years of your actual bachelor studies, right? So in total, you have 5 years of studies. Okay. So that is all for the Russian government scholarship, right? So that is all the information, the basic information you need to equip yourself with when you're preparing to apply for the Russian government scholarship. And like I said earlier, you need to contact the Russian embassy in your country for detailed information according to your country of origin, right? This information is general, right? For someone from, let's say, Uganda, from someone from Pakistan, from someone from the United States of America, all these requirements will be different, right? So you need to contact the Russian embassy in your country and ask for specific detail according to your country of origin, okay, so that you don't make mistakes. All right. So I do hope you understand everything I've said. And if you have more questions, you can contact us through our social handles. Yeah. So, like I've given you the first scholarship I'll be talking about today. So now let's move on to the second scholarship, right? The second scholarship we'll be considering for today is also a government-sponsored scholarship, but this scholarship is called Open Doors, right? I think this symbolizes that Russia is opening her borders to different nationalities, to different students from different countries. So it is called the Open Doors Scholarship. So to access this scholarship, you just need to go to the link, and the easiest way to do that is go to your browser, Chrome or any browser you're using, and type Open Doors Scholarship in Russia. Right, the first link that pops up, that is the link, right? So it's called globaluni.com. right? So you just globaluni.com, right? So or you go to your browser and just type open door scholarship in Russia, and then the first link that pops up, that is the scholarship link, right? So I know the Russian language can be overwhelming for some students, right? When I came also, it was really overwhelming, right? Learning a language and the pressure, it was just too much for me to handle. But because of the motivation I had, right, I was able to scale through. But some students, they don't have that motivation, they don't have that perseverance, right? So it's can be overwhelming. That's I want to deny. So right, so but unlike the first scholarship I talked about, this open door scholarship, you have a choice, right? You can choose to study in Russian, or you can say, nah, I'm not built for that. I want to study in English, right? But the downside to this scholarship is that it's only for the master's and doctorate students, right? So if you're going for bachelor's, unfortunately, you can't apply for this scholarship. Okay, so if you're going for your master's degree or your doctorate degree, you can take advantage of this scholarship, right? So let's go to the benefits. Um, the benefits. So the government scholarship includes free tuition, right? So free tuition, you don't need to pay a dime for all your years of studies, and then again the maintenance allowance, monthly maintenance allowance, and this is not dependent in any way on your success in studying. So if, for example, you have C's all through, your stipend is not going to change, right? If you have A's all through, it's not going to change, but you can get an increment in stipend if you get A's all through your studies, right? So, but I won't go into that. But yeah, so even if you're having C's, you shouldn't be scared of um reduction of your stipend, right? It's not going to happen. And then dormitory accommodation, this is conditional if available, right? If your school is providing you dormitory, if your school has a dormitory, right? So you can get an accommodation under the quota of the scholarship, right? And I'll go through the things that this scholarship won't provide you. Like I said earlier, this scholarship does not provide you with transportation and travel costs. It does not provide you with living expenses. Your voluntary insurance policy, it will not provide that for you. You have to pay for that yourself. And like I said, all these things, they are not expensive. They are pretty cheap to get, right? So this scholarship, the Open Door Scholarship, is an Olympiad-based scholarship, right? So you have to write like an Olympiad. If you pass the Olympiad, you get a scholarship. If you don't pass the Olympiad, you don't get the scholarship, right? So the Olympiad has two tracks, like I said, the master's and the doctorate track, right? So it has two rounds also, right, for the master's student, but for the doctorate student, you're going to have three rounds, and I'm going to explain that later. Right. So the first round of the scholarship is generally called the portfolio round. Right. So you have to build your portfolio. Right. You have to put in the certificate you've gotten throughout your studies, your previous year, and even down to your high school certificate. You can put that down. So if you got an award, if you participated in a competition, if you wrote articles, so all these details, you need to provide them, and that will help you build your portfolio, right? You need to provide the motivational letter. You need to provide if you have a job experience, you need to provide that. So all this you provide them to help you build your portfolio, right? And then the second round is called the problem solving challenge, right? This is where you need to take a test, an Olympiad. And truth be told, it's not going to be 2 plus 2 equals 4 or 4 plus 4 equals 8. It's going to really put you to the test, take you to the limit of your knowledge, right? It's going to be really difficult to pass. But if you successfully pass this, then know that you're on the other side, brothers and sisters. So, and then if you're a master's student, if you pass the second round with a very very good score, and then your portfolio you also got a very good score, then you should be rest assured that the chances of you getting scholarship has increased exponentially, right? And then for the doctorate student, you have one more round, and I said this round is it's majorly for you to come in contact with your potential supervisors, right? You're going to have maybe like an interview with them, and then they can judge and see if they truly want to pick you as a student, right? So it's all dependent on your supervisor. So if they're impressed by your knowledge, impressed by you as a person, and they agree to have you work under them, then you are good to go. Right. So now let's go down to how to apply. So the first thing you should do is to log into the website. So I said the website is globaluni.ru. Okay. So OD, that's open doors, OD dot global uni. So global GLOBAL uni dot ru. So you log on to this website and then you'll be asked to register. So you register, you provide your name, your email address, your password, and everything. And then you'll be asked to provide your personal details. So your full name, your date of birth, your country of residence, your email address, your contact telephone, and other information that usually you get, right? So you just provide them as best as you can, and then you also be asked to provide your profession, right? Like what field of study are you applying for, right? What track are you applying for? Is it engineering and technology? Is it medical sciences? Is it for example computer science? So you just have to provide that detail, right? Okay. So because the reason why you should provide the detail is all different track and different subject, you get different exam questions, right? It's not a general question. So if you're going for engineering, you get engineering based question in your test, right? In the Olympiad. If you pick medical sciences, right, you're going to get medical question, medically related question, right? So for an engineering student, you shouldn't be worried about getting a biology question or a chemistry. No, yeah, you can get chemistry question because it's still related, but you shouldn't be worrying about getting computer science questions because yours is just engineering and technology, right? So if you are a medical student, you don't need to bother about mathematics. So they're going to test you basically on your medical knowledge, right? So you just choose the field of study where you want to apply to, and then you choose the program you want to go to. So, and then you also have to fill in your level of your current level of education. So if you're applying for masters, you have to put in your bachelor certificate or your transcript. If you're applying for PhD, you have to fill in your master's degree certificate and then your transcripts. Okay. And then yeah, you have the choice to choose the language medium. So if you are going for Russian language, if you decide to choose Russian language, fine. If you decide to choose English language, that is also good, right? So after that, you'll be required to choose the possible universities. Probably you get a scholarship, right? So you have again 6 slots, and they should be in the order of your preference. Okay, the first university you should pick is the one you want to go to out of the six. Then the second should be in that order, right? In the order of your preference. So yeah, again, seeing that you'll be studying abroad, I think it's common sense to know that you need to get a passport, right? So you get a copy of your passport, and then, like I said, it should be valid for at least 18 months, okay? 18 months. And then a copy of your birth certificate, and then other documents like translated version of your certificate, like I explained in the first scholarship. So copies of your documents, your certificates confirming your current level of education, your certificate, your transcript. You just provide all that, right? So now let me go in detail and talk about the first round, the portfolio round, right? So note that this portfolio will be graded and it will be added to whatever score you end up getting in the second round. So after the test you write, it will be graded out of 100, right? And then your portfolio will also be graded out of 100, and then a a ratio will be taken, maybe 20% and 80% of, okay, let's say for example, let me make this very, very clear. So let's say your portfolio, 20% of your portfolio will be taken, right? The score you get for your portfolio, and then 80% of the test, the Olympiad you will write will be taken, right? So they will add that up together, and that will be your final score. Sometimes it can be 30% of your portfolio and then 70% of your Olympiad score. Sometimes it can be 40% of your portfolio, 60% of your Olympiad score. So it depends, it varies, right? So you need to put in maximum effort in the 2 rounds, okay? So the portfolio should include your academic transcript of graduation, your motivation letter, right? You need to write, okay, why do I want to study in Russia? What's motivated me to choose Russia? So you just need to answer those questions. Your achievements. Okay, so you're choosing engineering. What have you achieved in the field of engineering? Maybe if you have any patent, if you have any research or any article you've written, so you need to provide that. Then if you've gone to any conference, so your conference certificate, you need to provide that. Online course study, so if you've taken any course online, right, just to brush up on some knowledge area, you can provide that also. And if you've gone for any competition related to your field of study, so if you're a medical student, right, if you pick medical sciences, then if you have any award for any competition you've participated in medical field, right, you should put that in. And then work experience, so if you have any work experience, maybe internship, you can also put in the certificate you got from there. And participation in project, so if you have any project you've participated in related to your field of study, right, you need to put that in. Okay, so I hope I have communicated what it actually takes to get a good portfolio. Right. So if you have any other awards and certificates, there's a section where you can put that in. So if any certificate you have that does not fall under this list I've given to you, you can put them under the award and certificate section. Right. So like I said, all this will be graded out of 100, right? So all these scores, you get a mark out of 100, probably 100 over 100 if you have a very, very impressive portfolio, right? Yeah. So, and then for the first round, which is the portfolio round, if you don't have a very impressive score, unfortunately, you'll be dropped out of the competition. But if your scores are really impressive, you'll be moved to the second round where you need to write your test, write your Olympiad, you write a test. And then if you pass this test, and then the synergy between your first round and your second round, if it is enough to move you to get you to the stage where you are awarded the scholarship, fine, you get a scholarship. But if it is not enough, then unfortunately you'll be dropped. Right? I'm speaking about the master's students now. Then for PhD students, if you successfully pass the second round, then you have to have an interview with your potential supervisor. Right. So for the second phase, I'll just touch on that a little. That's the Olympiad phase. You're going to take a test, like I've been saying ever since I started. But this test is going to be 3 hours long. Okay, so it's going to be 3 hours long. You'll be provided with area of concentration. So they will tell you, okay, study this section, study this section. For engineering student, because I'm an engineering student, so I have more information to provide. You'll be asked to study you have to study technical drawing, asked to study the electrical part of engineering, asked to study material science. So they will just tell you study this section, and your question will come from there. Okay, and then you'll be given a demo question. Okay, to make you be in the feel of the Olympiad itself, right? So from the demo question, you can forecast the kind of question and how difficult the actual exam will be, right? So yeah, if you pass this round, then uh, you've gotten the scholarship, and then you'll be coming down to Russia to further your education. And after passing the second round, you need to provide some documents, basically your medical certificate, because they don't want to accept students who are not sound medically, right? Who will not survive the coming years to come. So you have to provide a doctor's certificate, so HIV, tuberculosis, but a concrete list to be given to you, right, of things you need to provide. And also you need to provide your um graduation certificate, your transcript, but they need to be translated and notarized. Okay, don't just translate it, you need to also notarize it. Without notarizing it, if you bring that certificate into Russia Federation, it won't be accepted, right? Because they don't know if it is original or fake, right? It needs to be authenticated. Okay, so also after providing all these details, your information will be forwarded to the central office in Moscow, Russia, and then you'll be given an ID. And the use of this ID so that you can track your progress in the application, in the registration process. So they need to register you into the Russian education system, and then get you acquainted with your admission office. So they give you a contact of your admission officer, and then you can go forward with the other details the school will need you to provide, right? So it varies from school to school. So you need to communicate with your admission officer, right? So, and when you're successfully enrolled in the university, then you can start your studies. For those people that would choose English, you can start without a preparatory faculty course, which is your Russian language generally. And if you choose Russian language, you want to study in Russian language, and you have enough knowledge about the language, then you don't need to enroll for the preparatory faculty course. But if you don't have, then you'll be enrolled for a compulsory 1 year language course where you'll be taught the language, right? So yes. Yes. So that's a wrap on today's episode. I know I've given a bit here and a bit here and a bit here, right? But I sincerely do hope that this you found this episode to be quite informative, right? So if you have any more questions on this episode or anything you're not clear on, or if you need further assistance, please you can always reach us on our social media handles, which you'll see beneath this video, right? So and also you can like this video, share it, subscribe, and you'd like to, if there's any other topic you'd like us to cover, right, you can just shoot us a message on our social media platform, and yeah, we'll try as much as we can to cover that section for you. And also I would like you to remember that education is a journey, right, and opportunities like this can open doors for a brighter future for you, right? So please take it as serious as you can, and thank you for tuning in today. And until next time, stay curious, stay scientific. Okay?
RNEA, unraveling the mysteries of power. Can you feel the energy breaking the impossible? RNEA, unraveling the mysteries of power. Can you feel the energy breaking the impossible?